Want to know all the details about how Azure Backup and Restore works for SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machines? Learn all about it this week on Data Exposed. Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this episode of Data Exposed. Today, I have two special guests joining us. One, we have Logan joining us again. Logan, thanks so much for coming back on the show. And we also have Kartik joining us today. Can we start with a little bit of intros, Logan? Maybe if you can remind folks who might not have seen you before what you do.
Yeah, Anna, thank you for having us again. It's great to be back on Data Exposed. My name is Logan Carrington, and I'm a member of the Azure Relational Database Marketing team, focusing on product marketing for SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machines.
Awesome. Cool. It's great to have you back. Kartik, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thanks, Anna, for having me. My name is Kartik, and I'm a senior program manager from Azure Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery team. I deal specifically in database backups and disaster recovery. Excited to be here on Data Exposed.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, and you're the great person to talk to us about Azure Backup and Restore to SQL Server or for SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machines. We hear a lot about customers lifting and shifting from on-prem to VMs, and a big reason is business continuity and HADR. So as customers kind of think about this, I want to understand, what are some things that people are expecting of their backup solution, and then how are some ways that we can help?
Yeah, backup solution must know how to do a couple things. However, first, a backup solution must connect to the database. From there, a customer can expect to execute commands to trigger backups, whether it be on demand or scheduled periodically. Then verifying with a source of truth and even integrating with underlying storage snapshots for even very large databases.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. So after they back up the data or generate the backup, what does a customer or what does the service do next?
Yeah, great question, Anna. After generating the backup data, as I just previously mentioned, a customer should expect to have backup storage management offered. In this process, you start with transferring and retrieving data to and from Azure. This includes backup data life management in Azure, dependency checks before deletion, handling high availability, which you just mentioned, otherwise known as HA configurations, tiering options or cost management, and redundancy for backup data.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. Yeah, definitely have a lot of those expectations for all good reasons. But switching a little bit of gears, a lot of stuff has been happening or fears around things like ransomware. And so another big part of backups is often trying to understand, is my customer data protected, especially when it comes to SQL Server on Azure VMs against ransomware?
Yeah. In the era of the virtual world, honestly, just connecting the database and managing the backup data is just not enough, Anna. The backup solution should also offer customer security, especially against ransomware. And also in terms of governance, the customer's probably asking themselves, how do I make sure my important servers are protected? And management at scale when it comes to how to do business continuity and disaster recovery, otherwise known as BCDR, when customers have hundreds of SQL servers in some instances. This is actually where Azure Backup for SQL comes into play. And to talk more about it, I'll actually hand it over to Kartik. Kartik, over to you.
Thanks, Logan. As you mentioned, apart from the basic requirements of the core workload backup and restore, these new requirements in terms of security, governance, and management at scale forms key criteria for a customer to select a backup solution. And here's where Azure Backup comes in. We are in Azure integrated business criteria disaster recovery solution that offer native workload integration, scalable storage, and built-in management at scale. Here on the screen, I would like to show an overview of the solution. As you can see in the screen, at the bottom layer, Azure Backup offers a diverse and mission-critical workload support natively. And as you mentioned, the backup data goes into Azure Backup Managed Storage. Here, what we can call as modern air gap. The backups are stored securely off-site in Azure Backup Managed Storage, but it also offers you resiliency as well. The built-in resiliency story is there. There are multiple access tiers to help you in terms of restore performance and cost optimization. And especially I want to talk about the built-in security. We do have a comprehensive out-of-the-box package solution in terms of security. Authorized access via RBAC, encrypting your data using customer managed keys, a soft delete for protection against accidental deletion scenarios, and then multi-user authentication and immutability for protection against ransomware is one of our core offerings in terms of built-in security. And at the top, you can see about management at scale. And this is especially helpful for enterprise customers who have hundreds of machines. Azure Backup Center, it is a single unified management experience. You can say it's a single pane of glass to view all your backups. And we also leverage other Azure native services. For example, you can use Azure Policy to make sure the backup estate is compliant, to make sure your key resources are protected. You can use Azure Resource Graph to export metadata. You can monitor your hundreds of backups and restores leveraging Azure Monitor-based experience. You can automate using not just Portal, but automation clients like PowerShell, CLI, SDK, Terraform, etc. All of this from one single place, which is the Backup Center. So this is what Azure Backup has to offer in terms of not just native workload integration, resiliency, access and cost management, built-in security, and management at scale. Now, these are value adds that automatically accrue to every workload. Let's move to the other slide where I'm going to explain a little bit about what do we offer specifically for SQL servers. Here you can see in the screen that Azure Backup for SQL is natively integrated with the SQL VDI streams. The data is streamed directly from within the VM to what we call as recovery services vault. A vault is nothing but a place to store your backups. It is completely zero infrastructure. You don't need any additional backup server. We do have support for the HA configurations that Logan mentioned earlier, especially always on AG. We give 15-minute RPO. Especially we support long-term retention. If you want to store data for 10 years, it is possible. And we even give archive support to make sure that it is optimized on cost as well. We do offer point-in-time recovery, central management, and hey, if you are adding new databases always, just use auto protection. And the whole experience is very simplified. The onboarding experience is pretty simple. Just log into Azure portal, discover the SQL databases, and configure backup. This is how if an enterprise is looking to back up their entire SQL estate, just to add, here on the screen, the backup data shows its stream, but we're also adding the snapshot support. So with this, what I can say is it doesn't matter whether the database is small, medium, large, production landscape that uses always on or doesn't. Azure Backup for SQL becomes one single backup and recovery solution, which is simple, secure, cost efficient, and also offers all the management services that I mentioned above. So to just let you know how the starting point, this is my Azure portal screen. I can just click Backup Center. In the services, you can see that the Backup Center is present. I click, and this is the single landing page where you start your journey with Azure Backup. You can see that it has collated all the backup information across multiple subscriptions, multiple tenants, multiple regions, all in a single place. To just start, just click plus backup. You can select, hey, I want to protect my SQL databases in Azure VMs. Select a vault. A vault is again a place to store your backups. Select a vault and then continue. That's it. It is as simple as clicking few buttons. A customer need not learn about complex T-SQL commands and syntaxes. They do not have to worry about the recovery chain. We do it for you. We also make sure that the dependency chain is intact. We don't delete any files inadvertently. All of this comes natively inbuilt with Azure Backup for SQL.
Wow, awesome. This is really cool, Kartik. And what I love is just how easy it is, and also how you said that you can do it at scale, and how you have all this visibility into some of the different things that are here. What else is here?
Yes, so the Backup Center, you can see that there are multiple sections. There is a manage section where you can view your entire. So on the landing page, you can see that immediately it shows you how to operate. monitor jobs, all the jobs in the last 24 hours. Just click them and go to that place. Here is an overview of what you already protected. SQL Azure VM, you can see that there are the aggregate of all the SQLs was protected. And here we also are integrating with Azure Monitor-based alerting system. So this is the landing page. You have options to configure backup, restore, create policies and vaults. On the left-hand side, you can see we have a host of other central management experience that we just talked about. Monitoring and reporting. Monitor your backup estate using jobs. Use Azure Monitor to click and then configure alerts and then get alerted and notified. Use metrics where we, to get notified when there are few threshold variations. We also have analysis reports, right? You want to go back to years of backup data to analyze what is my cost. You have that built in using log analytics workspace, which is again an inbuilt service of Azure Backup, Azure. And then in the policy and compliance section, you can see that you can author Azure policies. This will just make sure that the entire Azure Backup estate is protected. You can use policy to determine your important resources should always be backed up. Just to give a second, the screen is loading. And then this place, I would say Azure Backup Center becomes a single landing page for you to configure backups, operate them, monitor them, analyze them, govern them, all from one single place.
Awesome, cool. This is great to see. I know sometimes the demo the demos sometimes don't work when we're sharing our screens and stuff, but it's great to see all the different things that are available here. As we kind of think about closing the show, are there any tips or tricks that you have for folks as they get started with this?
So I have a documentation link, ak.ms/Azure Backup for SQL in Azure VM. That should be a fantastic place to start because we have the architecture discussions, troubleshooting, guidance, the basic backup and recovery flow, support metrics, everything recorded there. That should be a very good starting point. And I think just use the solution. This is generally available. Please just use it and give us feedback.
Awesome, cool. Well, thanks, Kartik. Thanks, Logan, so much for coming on Data Exposed. For our viewers, if you want to learn more, we'll put links in the description for you to learn more about everything that was talked about on the show today. If you like this episode, go ahead, give it a like, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think. And we hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.